Hey y'all, what's up? Welcome back to Touch by Ty Hair Co. And today I will be attempting the capless wig cap. This thing right here. Y'all pray for me, Lord Jesus. I'm telling you. Let's get into it. So, as you can see, I started here with 3 bundles of my Touch by Ty Hair Co. hair and body wave. And today I will be using a 4x4 closure for that frontal. I will be bleaching the knots with my BW2 powder using 30 volume developer. As you can see, same thing, different day. Piece of aluminum foil that I process my closure piece with. Add my powder, developer, same thing. I didn't wear gloves. Don't do what I did. Bad me, okay? Make sure you wear gloves. Safety first. And I'm mixing my consistency to get it to that thick, like, when we say thick, like a frosting mixture, we want it like that consistency. And that's what you see me doing here. Adding a little bit more developer just to mix it up good. You want it thick enough so that it does not seep through the lace to get on your hair, but you do want it to cover your knots in your lace. Mix it up, look at it, check it, good consistency, let's go. Okay, same process. If you don't know how to bleach a frontal or a closure, I do have a tutorial on that here on my YouTube channel. I use the same process. It never changes because it's what works for me. Everybody does this part differently. I start from the top, work my way to the back, covering my closure piece or frontal in its entirety. And that's what you see me doing here. I will then place it on the foil to create that chemical reaction, that heat chemical reaction, so that it could process a little bit faster. I'm only using 30 volume developer. Normally I use 30 or 40, whatever I have. So complete coverage, lay that sucker down and let it process. It normally takes about 15 minutes, 15, 20 minutes. I check it periodically. Okay, so this is my first time ever using this type of cap. So I don't know what the hell I'm doing. This is just me sharing my first time. I pray that I get it right. I pray that I master it so that this tutorial helps people out there that don't know how to use this. So here we go. Pray for me. Okay, so getting into it, y'all, I made so many mistakes with using this cap. As you can see here, I'm tracing the lines on the cap. But what you don't realize is that I have the cap inside out, which you will later see in my second video, okay? Now, when you do this, you want the plastic to be on the inside of the cap. Here I have it on the outside, which means I'm gonna stitch on top of the plastic, but it's the pull away portion. Wrong way. I know you don't understand, but trust me, later on in my second video, you will. I went on, I placed my closure after I bleached it and toned the knots. As you can see, giving real Scalpiana vibes, okay? As it should be. I went and I placed it on as I normally do with the mesh dome cap. Nothing really changed with that process. And I pinned it. And what I did with this cap, which I normally do not do, is I sewed on my closure piece. Normally, I do not do that. I sew my closure on last because I don't like the hair to get in the way. But because this was my first time using this cap, whoo child, this cap about beat me up. It was my first time using it. I didn't want to make the mistakes of misdrawing the lines. I wanted to make the unit as evenly as possible, which is still ended up jacked up because, like I said, I sewed my stitches on the wrong way. This is inside out. I'm gonna show you guys what I'm talking about in my next video. Please, please, please don't make the same mistake that I did. So here, I pinned it down and I finished drawing my guidelines. And I went on and just hand stitched on my closure as I normally do. Nothing changed with this process. If you don't know how to sew on a closure, you can refer to one of my wig making videos and it shows you there, okay? So now as you see, I have sewed on the closure first. I'm removing my pins here, and then I'm going to finish, I don't know if I have finished. Yeah, I finished drawing out my lines. This wig, baby, got the best of me. And here you see what my guidelines look like. Normally my guidelines are never that messy, but I recommend using a white, some white chalk or white marker or something white when using that cap, because it's really difficult to see when it's on the sewing machine. You can see it pretty well once you pull it off. As you can see here, you can see my lines, but when it's on the sewing machine, being as though my sewing machine is white, it was hard to see. Normally we will use a zigzag pattern. As you can see, my sewing machine is set on a zigzag, but for this particular cap, you want to use a straight stitch. Either one, whatever you prefer. I wanted a tighter stitching, so I went with the medium stitch, and my setting was still on 3. I didn't change my setting. Here, I'm just showing you how I struggled to sew this freaking wig. Now, honestly, no, seriously, it wasn't that bad. It was pretty much the same. There are some pros and cons. So what I did learn with using this cap, you don't want to start at the very end, okay? And when I say the very end, I mean the very end of the cap with your stitch. You want to bring it back just a little bit, because you don't want to eliminate the stretching ability of the cap. This cap comes with the bands and the way that it stretches on the side. If you sew at the very tip corner of that cap edge, you're going to lose all your give. This was a normal size cap made for a normal size head, a 22-inch head. If you have a big head like me, you definitely, if you want to use this cap, you definitely need an extra large cap. Sometimes I could get away with using a 22-inch cap or a regular size cap. I just won't get that full coverage at the nape. But most of the time my wigs cover my nape area, so you really can't see it. However, with using this capless cap, you're gonna need an extra large cap, because if you make a mistake, you go all the way to the end like I did. I think I went to the end on my beginning side, but on my inside, I stitched it maybe a half an inch before the edge of the cap. So that was a learning experience for me. When I start, I want to start a half inch, and when I finish, I want to start a half inch, so that I still have that stretching ability for the clients to be able to put this, to be able to put the unit on their head. Process is still the same. On this cap, you'll see it has about 4 netted lines in it, 4 or 5. You want to double stitch across those lines, okay? Because you want to secure, once you pull away that vinyl, all you have is the hair stitched on those fabric pieces of net that's basically holding that cap together. So my recommendation is that you double stitch once you're coming across, as you see me doing here. As I'm coming across those lines that are going down the cap, I'm double stitching, going back and forth using a reverse stitch to secure that piece. So that piece of hair right there in that area. You can single stitch in the middle. You don't have to reverse it throughout the middle, but definitely once you get on those, what do I want to call them? I don't know, the strips in the middle of the cap, you want to double stitch across that, and then you want to double stitch with the reverse lever to secure your beginning and end of your weft. As you can see, this is sped up, okay, and it's still moving slow. So imagine how slow I was moving would it not be sped up. So this is the progress that I've made. I am happy with the progress. What I didn't know at the time is that I was sewing it on the wrong damn side. See? So moving on. It should have been the opposite way. My weft should have been on that side of the cap. And then, yeah, my weft should have been on that side of the cap, and the stitches should have been on the side where my wefts were. Lesson learned. I'm going to show you guys in my next video. Please stay tuned. This is a 2-part video. This was where I started. As you can see, I'm showing you where I didn't sew it all the way to the end, where I did, and it's no give. So that makes a big difference. Now, I was gonna do something with the stitching here. I was gonna curve it, but when I saw how it was all gathered at the top, and you'll see this as you go on in your sewing, use your discretion, you know what I'm saying? I decided instead of curving it like I would with a mesh down cap, I'm just gonna take it straight across to finish out the wig. I didn't even use all 3 of the bundles, which is fine because this is gonna be a bob-like unit style. I'm actually probably gonna put some highlights in it, I don't know. But yeah, I just finished it out the neatest way that I could see fit. This wig reminded me of when I first started sewing. I mean, y'all, it was messy on the inside. And that's okay. That's okay. Stay tuned to part 2 where you see the rest of this video. Thank y'all for tuning in. Part 2.